What's up, brothers and sisters? It's your brother G World 7_D. Now, I showed you this book before called Blacked Out Through Whitewash by Sister Dr. Suzar. But I want to emphasize something right here that I'm going to try to connect everything together. All right. I'm going to page 38 here. I can get 38 in this book. Page 38. There's something I want you to catch, okay? You're going to catch. This is a sister who wrote this book. All right. She used the term African, but not every single black person African. But I want you to pick up on certain things now. You're right here. All right. So-called European architecture, including castles, originated from Africans. All right, but she's saying Africans, but black people globally have done this. But I'm gonna emphasize something real quick. Okay, here we go. All right, and let's see. So-called European architecture, castles, arches, cathedrals, the Capitol, the Parthenon, etc., originated from African architecture. Fortresses, arches, temples, mosques, obelisks, etc. The Washington Monument is an African obelisk, origin of the church staples. The veranda was brought to America from Africa in colonial times and greatly impacted architecture in southern U.S. Africans carved large complex buildings, churches, and temples from massive solid rock or sides of mountains. I repeat, Africans carved large complex buildings, churches, and temples from massive solid rock or sides of mountains. To date, how those mighty pyramids were constructed is still a mystery to modern engineers. The stones used for their construction weigh some 50 tons. They are so well fitted you cannot push a business cart between their joints. Black people built the ancient megalithic structures around the world, particularly throughout the Black South Pacific Islands. The most famous example is Stonehenge, built by small Africoid people, pygmies, that is. This is well documented by two European authors, David McRitchie, who I talked about before, The Testimony of Tradition, and Gerald Massey, who exhaustively, explained the Nile Valley origins of British culture in the first volume of his Book of Beginnings. People should get that. It's a 2-volume book. The best of modern albino equipment cannot duplicate what black people accomplished in architecture eons ago. Huge castles and fortresses were conceived and built by an indigenous Africans on African soil long before Europeans arrived in Africa, as documented by Dr. Yosef Ben-Jochannan, Anthony Browder, and David Hatcher Childers. Castles were built in Nubia during the 12th dynasty, 1900 BC. These massive, formidable fortifications were equipped with moats, drawbridges, gigantic gates, battlements, and towers. They were walled villages housing hundreds of people. Now, I'm going to stop there. The reason I read that because I've talked about, and I think I showed a picture before, or mentioned it, of several castles, numerous of castles, where you had black people. You had the king, you had the queen, you had the prince, you had the princesses, and you had different guards there guarding the castle from the wild cave people. Those were the white folks who was crawling in their fours, crawling on their knees. They were all hairy all over their body. There's numerous of pictures showing black people protecting castles. And they show numerous of them wearing these type of shoes that you see that ancient Egyptians wore. And even some Aboriginal black Indians here in America wore. I always mention that connection. You have castles here in America. You have castles over in Europe. You have castles over in Africa. Black folks built castles globally. This is why It is very important in who and what you call yourself, and stop making yourself a foreigner in your own land. But we build around the world, but we are indigenous to this damn land. That's why I keep harping and emphasize that. Them white folks did not have the technology to build all those structures in Europe, them ancient structures. They were not civilized. We had to teach them how to eat, how to hold a damn fork, how to dress, how to bathe. We did all that. We taught them how to shave all that damn hair on their bodies. We did all that. But there was always a connection, because brothers and sisters were building great monuments and castles over here. They was building them over in Europe. And then I remember looking at a kid as a cartoon. They showed these old cartoons, these fake ass white kings and the dragon, and they had the drawbridge. And the dragon was always under the bridge, and then if you didn't go over the drawbridge, whatever, the dragon would get you to, will devour you. There's stories of dragons here and caves here where they take the barbaric whites and throw them in the caves of the dragon or some form of animal, and they will eat them alive. There was always a connection between so-called Africa, the Americas, Asia, and Europe. Remember, Africa, Asia, and Europe was really connected prior to the construction of the Suez Canal, which allowed ships to pass through that region. Remember, ships had to go travel around. So by building the Suez Canal, they were able to come to that region quicker and faster, travel within. It was all connected prior to the building of the Suez Canal. So people were able to walk across to different ancient land bridges for them to walk across to different places. I'm emphasizing this, that we have to understand that black folks, so-called black folks, whatever the hell you want to call yourself, traveled around the damn planet. Alright? Not only we trekked and walked, but we sailed using ships, wooden ships, like I said in other videos. But I'm going back to let me go back to the issue of the castles. When you look at a lot of those European castles, those stone brick castles that you see, the architecture was amazing, man. But the documents show you that the people who built them goddamn things were Negroes, man. Because you see different type of castles built in other lands where black folks were at. So we have to stop thinking and saying that we're just descendants of African slaves, which is a lie. I say this all the time. That is a lie to cover up your true history. You have black people here in America speaking various different languages. I told you there were so many different mounds, but a lot of them have been destroyed to build highways, to build these so-called modern day cities, and some of these damn universities are built on top of land that our ancestors once had. They had mounds, great structures there, but they were destroyed. So this is my way to trying to connect things together. You're not taught this in school. You're not taught this at these HBCU schools or these predominantly white institutions. They're not going to teach you this. They're going to teach you that you're a slave from West Africa. That's all they're going to teach you. And your Negro scholars, many of them, continue to do that at these white institutions and at these Negro institutions. It's up to you to want to learn, to research, and put in the work. I remember I had some goofy Negro come in here and say I didn't know what I was talking about when I said that those black Europeans were no damn Africans. Those are black Europeans. But he want to label everything as African. Then he referred to a book, thinking I didn't know nothing about the author, when I've been reading that damn book 15 years ago. Oh, I studied in the field of archaeology for 20 years. I've been studying longer. Don't come to me with that mess. But I'm telling you this now. Our history is a global history. It's a great history. And it's so much documented. But I'm giving you bits and pieces. Because a lot of stuff is put in different books in different pieces like a jigsaw puzzle. So you got to take the puzzle pieces and put them together. And I'm trying to bring things together. I'm trying to let you know that we are a global people. But we built civilizations. They weren't isolated. The black civilizations from South America was not isolated from the ones in Asia and Africa. It was always a intercontinental travel by boats. Not only they use reed boats, but they use sophisticated wooden ships. I mentioned this before. And many wooden ships, they were tied together by rope. I mentioned this before, and they didn't have nails in there. And they were able to deconstruct the ship, which instructs us to reconstruct the ships. Our ancestors had that great knowledge. You have to understand this. You have to study this. This information is in your face. You gotta stop listening to your enemy and your oppressor telling you about your history. They're not gonna tell you the truth. I mean, these Negroes not gonna tell you the truth because all they cared about getting a pat in their head from white daddy and white mommy. That's all they care about. Or being laid up, married to their little white wife or their white husband. These Negroes don't care. I'm telling you this, man. You must take back your full history. You must study your full history. And you mentioned what I just mentioned in this article. She said that these black folks had the technology to carve into rock. That's what they did here in the Americas. That's what the Mali did over so-called Anasazi, who was a Mali. They carved into that rock, into those mountains, climbed up real high, and carved into the rock. She said this in his book. She didn't mention them, but I'm telling you that's what they did because our ancestors had that technology. They did it over the Grand Canyon. That's not a myth. That's what they did. They did that all over the planet. But you have some of my people who cannot fathom that black folks did all this stuff. That black folks traveled the world. That black folks were the original people on this damn planet, and they built all over this damn planet. You had Upper Egypt, which is South America, I can say part of North America, and then you had Lower Egypt, which is Africa. It wasn't just over there in so-called Northeast Africa. You had Egypt over here, you had Egypt over there. All right, brothers and sisters, man, this is me making another video, man. And put in the work and start doing your research, man, please. Do not listen to these individuals who are very stagnant, stuck on neutral. You must be, get out of neutral or park. Go to drive and go forward. Don't go backwards, go forward. Learn your history and go forward. Learn your true history. Okay, I'm going to eventually talk about the Kyle and Copan. But learn your true history, man. Learn your true history. Stop listening to these goofballs, man. Anyone who's still telling you that you're just a descendant of West Africa, and I said this over and over again, truly don't know what the hell they talking about, man. And they basically undercutting you learning your true history or obtaining the true knowledge of who you really are and your true history. We've been lied to. We've been lied to. We've been really lied to. But it's up for you to go back and learn your true history. All right, brothers and sisters, it's your brother G World. I'm going to end this video right now. Peace and love. It's about like 14 minutes. And I just wanted to say that. So learn your true history. Learn your full history. And do not allow your enemy to make you think that you just come from some damn tribe over in West Africa and you just a beaten down Negro who's a slave, man. Alright? I love you, brothers and sisters. Please continue to seek out that knowledge. Continue to learn your true history. Continue to learn your true history. Alright? Alright, brothers and sisters. I love you. Peace and love.